I adapted this video's title from someone else's video from a while ago. Anybody who knows who the person is that I took the title from wins. Bonus points if you know who the original video was made on. Yes, I'm holding a Wii in my hand and I'm gonna flail it about, and my arm's gonna be really tired by the time I'm done recording because this thing is kinda heavy. But anyways, Logan Paul gave an interview to Good Morning America. In it, he was asked a range of questions from his experience in the aftermath, how he's been affected by all this, and a bunch of other generally softball questions. And Logan killed that interview, in a sense. In this interview, he tries to victimize himself to a degree, but it's in an interesting way that's not so common, where he tries to make himself out to be a victim that deserved what he got. Here, let's take a look.
It's been tough, because ironically, I'm being told to commit suicide myself, which...
Really?
Millions of people literally telling me they hate me, to go die in a fire. It's like the most horrible, horrific things.
Within the first 20 seconds, he makes this about what people have been doing to him. He's doing this because, one, he's trying to make himself look like the victim, and as the victim, he's trying to draw sympathy from people for all this hate that he's saying that he's getting on the internet. People telling him to go die in a fire, to kill himself. Now, to be fair, this is an interview about Logan Paul, so it makes sense that the questions and answers would revolve around Logan Paul, and it is ironic that people are telling him to kill himself because he showed someone that killed themselves on camera, and I've seen people say that Logan Paul should kill himself, which I don't approve of in the slightest, but that's not a get out of jail free card for all the criticism that you're getting, and even a lot of just the straight up hate that's wholly fueled by emotion. I think a lot of people are fully justified, and I completely understand where they're coming from if they hate you for what you did, even if it is like a month old at this point. Using as something as personal to many people like suicide as a centerpiece for a vlog is kind of despicable, but I've gone over that a bunch in previous videos. It's all stuff you brought on yourself by not considering the potential backlash when you first made that video, which you do address in this next clip.
So you don't feel like the criticism has been fair?
That's the thing. I do.
This is the Logan Paul his fans have never seen before.
Now this is the part where it gets interesting. Like I said, Logan Paul paints himself as a victim that deserved what he got, that he had it coming based on his actions. That doesn't change the fact that he was trying to use it to get sympathy points, but it is something worth noting. Now, when he says criticism here, he could just mean people that are actually giving him legitimate criticism and dismissing any rage-fueled insults or things like that hurled at him, which I don't agree with. I think a good bit of hate is deserved. Not the ones telling him to die or kill himself, but just enough to show Logan the emotional impact this had on some people. It's a sensitive topic, you can't avoid that. But there is a reason he was so deeply shaken by this entire situation. I don't think he should have had people telling him to die, but maybe that was the reason he was so deeply affected by it. But by that same token, did he feel bad because he was being called out and hated constantly for it, or was it because he's actually remorseful for what he did? No one knows but him, and maybe the people close to him. As I got further in the interview, it began to feel more and more like it was the former.
The group came across an actual suicide victim.
So it was 100 yards away from the parking lot. It doesn't make any sense, and I believe it happened for a reason, and I think that reason is so I could take this experience, learn from it, spread the message the right way about suicide prevention and suicide prevention awareness.
This shouldn't have been a lesson that needed learning. Showing a suicide victim's body in a video, disregarding the fact that you at least partially used it for views by putting it in the thumbnail, should have been an instant no, an instant red flag, especially when you had hours to go over the footage, edit it, and eventually decide not to upload it. Maybe just sitting down and telling the story without showing any of the footage would have been a better approach, but that's not what you did. You're right, Logan, this did happen for a reason, and that's because you brought it on yourself. You were not a victim of your ignorance, Logan. You are suffering the consequences of your ignorance.
You put out content like that. Do you realize the age of your audience?
It's odd because, Michael, I'm 22 years old. It's not like I'm making content necessarily for kids. Sometimes I cuss.
Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to Best Trends. Today we're going to be going over 5 Fortnite YouTubers who've sworn.
Sometimes I make inappropriate jokes. I want to make jokes that kids my age are going to like. I'm my own demographic. Now, I will say I am much more aware of the impact that my actions have on myself and others.
I don't buy his demographic being the people his age for a second, like at all. And maybe I am wrong and that is truly how Logan tries to market his videos, but something tells me that it's really not. From the way he pushes his merch towards children and his hyperactivity in his vlogs that is geared towards children's attention spans in general, people like me, I don't believe for a second that he's trying to make his videos for 20-year-olds. And even if he was, he knows what his actual demographic is. It's kids. He's been to his meetups and he knows what type of people show up there. Young kids with their parents. He even acknowledges later in the interview that a lot of parents will show up to his meetups with kids, and that he's talked to them. Logan Paul censors a lot of his cursing, which if he was really targeting people his age, he would probably know that the majority of them don't really care about cursing. Hell, the kids probably don't even care. The point is, Logan knows who his demographic is, and he knows who he's marketing his videos and his merch towards.
There are a lot of parents who were saying, you know what? I heard about Logan Paul. I didn't really know who he was until this happened. Who are really going to monitor their kids now. What would you like to say to them? I'm
going to be honest with you, Michael. I think parents should be monitoring what their children are watching more. Every parent I meet whose kids are under the age of like 12, I go, hey, you let your kids watch my stuff? And they go, yeah, what am I going to do?
I actually do have to give credit to Logan here because I completely agree with him on this point. If parents want to actually do something about what their kids are watching, then they have to be more involved with controlling what type of media their children are consuming. A lot of parents wouldn't approve of their kids watching these types of videos, and they say that, but they can't really complain if they don't take an active role in making sure that their kids aren't doing so. Now, if they are okay with their kids seeing that kind of stuff, that's up to them.
But at the same time, it's not like I'm a bad guy. I am a good guy who made a bad decision.
That's a bit of an understatement. A severe and continuous lapse in my judgment is a little better. He's continuing to try and present himself as a sympathetic figure. As a good guy who got a lot of hate for one bad decision. Logan wants people to sympathize and feel bad for him to help his reputation, which is fair to the extent of people telling him to kill himself and to go die in a fire. Those kind of comments towards him are going too far and unnecessary, and at the end of the day, hypocritical, in my opinion at least. But it seems like Logan is not only pushing this narrative, but he actually believes it to a degree himself, based on a comment that he left on one of Cardi B's Instagram posts. This caption in one of Cardi B's images goes like this: "They trying to crucify me like they did Christ." And Logan Paul comments on that post, "Lols, you telling me?" Again, rolling with the idea that he was getting a lot of unnecessary and unwarranted hate, which a lot of it was, but most of it's not. Do you seriously think you're being crucified for no good reason, Logan? You said you deserved the criticism that you were getting, but to me it sounded more like that was in direct reference to people that were just critiquing you, and not people that were actually feeling emotional hate towards you. And like I said a billion times, I still think people telling you to go kill yourself or to go die is disgusting and hypocritical, but trying to paint yourself as the victim in this situation, when most of what you're getting is well-deserved, is kind of dumb in my opinion.
Google Preferred dropped you from their service. Yeah. Do you think that that was fair of them to do?
I understand that they needed to take a stance, and while I don't necessarily maybe agree with it, I do respect it. I do respect it.
Logan Paul was dropped from Google Preferred for more than just his Suicide Forest thing. And even if he was dropped for the one thing, there's plenty of other material to pick from. For one, there was the Suicide Forest thing, but there was also the general disrespect he showed towards the culture while he was over in Japan. There was him pretending to get shot in front of his kid fans. Again, fans he could see physically in front of him were kids. And his videos changed how Google Preferred ads worked. Every single person who's in Google Preferred has to have every single one of their videos manually looked over to see if they're actually appropriate to run these premium ads on, because Logan was doing things that probably shouldn't have had premium ads on them long before the Suicide Forest situation. Logan is not a victim of unfair treatment by Google Preferred or Google in general. This is part of the consequences you have to endure and learn from as a result of your continuous lapse in judgment. You losing out on a hefty chunk of revenue is a consequence of your actions, not unjust or unfair treatment by Google. If PewDiePie lost his ads for something far less than what you did when it wasn't even deserved for him, then you most definitely deserve to lose them here, when you actually did something that was physically appalling.
How does that affect your bottom line?
Want to know the real answer?
Yeah, of course.
It hurts, but it's not like I'm drowning. I try not to live my life thinking about money, because money doesn't make me happy. Creating and making other people happy makes me happy. Creating content to make people smile and laugh, that's what makes me happy.
He further tries to make himself look like a good guy who's getting some deserved criticism, but mostly just mindless hate, in order to try and seem like a victim and garner sympathy, to try and save his neutered reputation. In one of my previous Logan Paul videos, I thought his Suicide Be Here Tomorrow video was good overall. It did a lot of good stuff and it hit a lot of the right notes. It was well put together and had a lot of good information that was definitely going to get out to a lot of people. Not to mention, Logan Paul committed to making a $1 million donation in total to suicide prevention charities, which, regardless of the intention behind that donation, or whether it's actually taking out any meaningful chunk out of Logan Paul's pockets, it's still a $1 million donation to charity. I don't think this interview negates any of the good stuff he did with his return video, but it's a negative towards him getting a second chance, for me at least. He really did kill it, and he really went hard with trying to sell the idea that he was a victim in this whole thing. He makes himself out as a person that deserves sympathy, which I suppose to a degree he does, but the extent that I'm willing to empathize with him is about as short range as my line of sight with these glasses on. Just him trying to play the victim in this situation when he was the perpetrator is just what really really gets on my nerves the most. The interviewer himself really didn't make it that hard for Logan Paul to do. The questions weren't really that hard. It was all a bunch of easy, generic stuff to throw at Logan. And maybe that was because it's Good Morning America, and you can only do so much with a 6-minute segment, but still, there could have been better follow-up questions, or things that would let Logan Paul just worm around responsibility and actually challenge what he was saying. And real quick, I just want to say that Philip DeFranco predicted pretty much every single move that Logan Paul made in his return. He predicted Logan Paul donating and getting involved with charities, showing that he's trying to learn from his mistakes, also the type of music that was used in his return video, and also potentially later down the line trying to paint himself as the victim, and more specifically, potentially using the loss of his premium ads to make it look like he was a person who deserves sympathy here.
Having a history in covering stories like this, most likely we're gonna see one of two things happening, maybe a hybrid. One, Logan Paul coming back saying he learned his lesson and then throwing himself into maybe a charity or donation or doing something with like a cute kid. This meant to show that he's trying to learn and be a better person. And this would be kind of the Logan Paul spin to it, potentially, and maybe not right off the bat, but eventually getting to the point of Logan Paul being a victim. This because he lost his premium ads and using that as a way to push even harder to merch. But we'll see. Also, bonus points if in that video, when he's being real with you, if there's sad or sympathetic music, double bonus points if it's just piano. But we'll see.
But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. This interview is very much up for interpretation, so if you guys had a different takeaway of what went on in it, be sure to leave that in the comments below. If you think I was wrong about anything or I missed anything, be sure to leave that down there as well. But anyways, this has been Kwite, and I will see you guys next time. Hell, the kids probably